Oh, brilliant, Amy. It's a brilliant idea to start a series on homemaking when you suck at it. But that's exactly why I'm doing it. If I could be totally and completely real and candid with you right now, okay, I'm going to tell you something. By the looks of this room right here, other than the little specks that are on the wall that need to be touched up with paint, this portion of the room looks okay, right? It looks pretty clean. I just made the bed. There's a dog in the background. There's a cute little guitar sitting over in the corner, which I don't play as often as I should. And everything kind of looks put together. But if we want to be real and honest, that's not what the rest of my house looks like. And I'm not going to show you the rest of my house because I'm not going to subject myself to criticism or judgment. But just know that the rest of my house doesn't look like, and you don't have to go far. I will show you my dresser, and there's a reason my dresser looks like this. Yeah. Because, number one, we need to purge clothes. Let me get you situated here. So a lot of that stuff needs to be purged, needs to be gone through, things like that. But honestly, the other part of that is that we don't have a lot of storage space in our house. We live in a 900, there's a dog scratching her head below me, which is now why my video is, we live in a 980 square foot house. Now that's just our top level. We do have a basement, and the basement is mostly finished. We have one room that we're still working on, and then the laundry room needs to be refinished, but that's a whole nother time. You know, it's workable, so we don't really care about it. But we live in a small house. Now, something you might not know about us is that we actually lived in a tiny house when we got married, when we first got married. It was probably, if we're guessing, between 350 and 400 square feet. It was a repurposed garage. It had a bottom level, and then it had a top level, which was more like a loft. It didn't, but you know, it was pretty big for what we needed. It had a huge, the whole upstairs was the bedroom, had a walk-in closet, and it had a huge bathroom. So for a tiny house, it was still pretty big, but storage space was an issue there as well. So when we moved into this house, we were very, very pleasantly surprised that it had so much room. This was like a big house to us, but now it's kind of like this house is now too small for us. We, you know, almost 9 years later, we now have a child. We have 2 dogs. We have farm animals, and we have collected more stuff. But that's not the biggest issue. When I first started my YouTube channel and my blogs, I've been the author of several different blogs. The first mom blog was called Boogers and Jesus. Some of you recently, I've discovered, have actually followed me from that blog over here. There's still a Facebook page for that blog, but Boogers and Jesus eventually turned into the Fewell Homestead website. So a lot of the information that was on that website can now be found on our Homestead website. We made that change, or I made that change, when a friend of mine, Lisa Steele from Fresh Eggs Daily, encouraged me to move further into the homesteading to gain more readers and viewers and stuff like that. And it allows me to house everything under one roof other than just motherhood. So I can do homesteading, homemaking, Christian living, and anything pretty much under our name, the Fewell Homestead, because it's all about us. There's the dog again. However, when I first started this YouTube channel, one of the things in my first intro video was that I wanted to get into YouTube to help keep me accountable as a housewife and as a homemaker. And I really have discovered in the past over a year now, that I really haven't gotten into that. And here's why. I suck at being a homemaker. Yep, that's right. I suck at being a homemaker. I suck at cleaning. I suck at keeping myself organized and things like that. You know, here's the thing. You can do all kinds of things to teach yourself how to clean and teach yourself how to organize, and you can make lists and you can do apps. I have friends, you've probably seen it on Southern Mom's Coffee Break. They have been telling me about these cool apps, and I just sit there and I think it is just one more thing for me to keep track of. Like, I have to remember to look at my phone to mark off what I've done during the day. It doesn't work for me. I am trying it. I'm trying to be inspiring. I'm trying it. But my issue is that I just don't want to do it. And I'm just being honest. There are some real issues. The first issue is that growing up, I had a grandmother who was a perfectionist when it came to cleaning the house. She also had kids to help her, though. Lots of kids. Lots of girls that would help her clean. But my mother was not a perfectionist when it came to cleaning. In fact, she was quite the opposite. She was very much a hoarder. That spilled over into my childhood. I was really never made to do anything. I wasn't really ever made to wash my laundry, to clean the house, to clean my room. A lot of that stuff, my mom just did it. Or it didn't really happen. It kind of just happened when it would happen. Now, my dad was different. He liked, he cleaned and cooked and stuff like that. But my mom was not really a homemaker either. Now, as she's gotten older, that's changed. She does keep up with her house a lot more than she used to. But here are several situations, maybe excuses that I use too often, but here are some disadvantages and why I suck. So that was the one thing. The one thing was not growing up and learning those traits, learning those characteristics, and it just being, I feel like when you grow up and it's just part of your life, then homemaking kind of comes natural to you. But growing up and it's not really part of your life, then you get into a marriage and it's kind of like, well, how am I supposed to I don't want to clean up after you. I was taught to clean up after yourself, basically. That's what happened. Things happen. You don't want to clean up after somebody else. Cleaning up after yourself is one thing, but cleaning up after other people is another. Yes, we do teach our child to clean up after himself. Yes, I am not cleaning up after him by any means, because I feel like that's an important characteristic. As I learned, or didn't learn, I think it's important for my child to learn how to clean up after himself, to clean his own room, to do his own chores, to help me with cleaning. I think it's very important. Hopefully one day when he gets married, he'll be like, oh, you know what? I helped my mom do this. Maybe I'll help my wife do it. The other issue is that I have a husband who grew up the same exact way that I grew up. He grew up not ever having to do anything. His sister or his mom cleaned up after him. He would pay his sister to clean up after him, to clean his room. He would pay her, even well into the beginning stages of adulthood before him and I met. So I was faced with that when we got married. But another situation is that we live in a fixer-upper. It's really hard to love living in a fixer-upper. It is very hard to be an efficient homemaker when you live in a house that constantly has projects going on within it. But it's still not a good excuse. It's not. So, between me just not wanting to do it, between me being in constant project mode and everything always being dusty and out of place, nothing in our house has a place, and then not having a lot of storage space in a small house, and having relationships that caused me to not want to be a good homemaker. There are a lot of things that have been stacked against me over the years. And so homemaking, I've had my good moments. I've had some really bad moments. I would say now more than ever, I'm doing better. But I'm still not perfect. And so that's what I want to I'm starting a series. Oh, brilliant, Amy. It's a brilliant idea to start a series on homemaking when you suck at it. But that's exactly why I'm doing it. Because I suck at it, and if I have to make a series, then that helps keep me accountable. and it helps me show you the progress of my house. So in the series, I'm not saying it's going to be every week. I don't like being tied down to a schedule at all. So it's going to be random. It's going to be as I'm doing stuff. So like today, I'm cleaning the basement. So in a few days or a week, I might have a video of cleaning the basement. I might show you some ways that I very quickly learn how to adapt and organize. I'm kind of learning as I go, and I'm going to show it to you, and hopefully it might help you too. And also, I want to show you our home renovations. You know, a lot of things, we've been doing a lot of home renovations, and I haven't been able to show those to you because my rooms are dirty or they're cluttered. You know, like this part of my room is awesome and my floor is awesome, but that clutter over there is awful. Or like my basement. We redid the basement, but it's just like a collect all for stuff. Granted, it's a lot better than it used to be. I mean, it's clean, but it's just clutter. So decluttering, I'm starting now. I'm starting every day. It's also going to help me prioritize, because here's the biggest issue about homemaking for me. I suck in general about organizing, but I also suck when it comes to prioritizing life. And I firmly believe in the order that God has established us. And so my order, first and foremost, is to be a godly wife. God first, husband second, children third. I believe in that. I believe it's biblical, and I believe God is a God of order, and that there's blessing in that order. But I've been neglecting that order for almost 11 years now at the making of this video. We'll be married 11 years in March. And the whole reason that I got into the job that I'm in was so that I could stay home and be a homemaker. I want a clean house. I want a nice house. I want stuff to not be cluttered. It's not that I don't want it, it's just that I don't want to do it. Especially when it's not my stuff. I think that's my biggest issue. But then it's also a heart issue. I have discovered that while I love serving people, I find that the people that I should serve the most is my family, and I highly, highly lack that. I highly lack a servant's heart when it comes to serving my family. So we'll see how it goes. It's not going to be just a physical journey. It's going to be a spiritual journey for me. You know, like I said, I got these jobs and worked my butt off to be a stay-at-home mom so that I could have a clean house and that I could be home with my kid. And so my husband, you know, he works physically, hard labor, works all day long. He should have a nice house to come home to. And more times than not, he doesn't. Is that selfish of him? No, it's not selfish of him to think that he should have a nice house to come home to when his wife is only supposed to have a part-time job and the rest of the time be raising our child and clean our floors. It's not selfish. It's just is what it is. I mean, it's me being home and prioritizing my time. I spend a lot of time doing stuff that it's not beneficial. So here are the steps that are going to happen. Step 1, I really need to prioritize my relationship with Christ. Often I talk about it. Often I'm very spiritually open with you, but I myself need to pour more of Christ into me, because if I'm constantly giving it out and not putting it back in, then I kind of just become an empty vessel, and I continue to resound the things and regurgitate the things that I know and love and are passionate about, but without ever actually growing myself. So in order to grow as a homemaker, I have to pour it into me. So that's number 1. Number 2, a schedule. I don't like schedules. I don't like things being out of place either, though. And so my work life and my home life and my homemaking life really need to be scheduled. I'm going to kick that dog in the butt. So in order for that to happen, that means my time has to be prioritized as well. I really suck at prioritizing my time more than anything. If my time can get prioritized, then my house can get prioritized. That is a huge step for me. That's step number 2. It really would be step number 1 if I weren't a Christian. But step number 1 always has to be starting with God and my heart and myself and my lack of being a servant. Not a servant, but having a servant's heart. So my schedule is going to look a lot like this. I'm only going to spend 1 to 2 hours each day working. So that gives me about 6 hours per week. That is hard. That requires focus. Is it doable? Yes, but it really is going to require me to focus. So that means opening my email and only my email. Only my spreadsheets and only my Word documents for work. Not opening Facebook, not opening YouTube, not opening any of that stuff. Only opening work stuff, getting my work done in that 1 to 2 hour time range, and then the rest of the day I can clean and be a mom and a homemaker. Wow, that sounds easy, right? No, it's not easy for people who don't know how to stick to a schedule. Because then what happens? Cell phone. I can drag myself away from the computer, but can I drag myself away from my cell phone? Chances are I'm going to have to delete all of my apps off of my cell phone. So that includes Facebook, that includes YouTube, or maybe I can find some cool scheduling app to where like I can't get on it until a certain time. A lot of you think, well, just make a conscious note to not get on it until 3 o'clock, and that might work as well, but we'll just have to see how that plays out. And the third little schedule part of this is to clean first. So here's what my days look like. Breakfast, homeschool, work, or breakfast, work, homeschool. That might be more easier for me. That way I'm not constantly going up and down the stairs. And then homemaking. Mom and homemaking stuff the rest of the day. Obviously the homestead stuff is kind of thrown in there at the same time. Summertime's going to be busy with canning. But it's totally doable. It is totally doable. When I sit here and I think about it, I'm thinking, why is this so hard for me? The hardest part is not getting sidetracked. The hardest part is staying on track. And then the final step, because if those two things work out, then the realization is that it should work. But the third issue is that I have to stick with it. And that is going to be my greatest challenge. So for that, I'm going to try and implement timers on my cell phone. Because you know, when you sit down to take a 5-minute break, it can sometimes turn into a 30-minute break. Or an hour break, or a 3-hour break, where you get sucked into YouTube and you watch videos for 5 hours. And yeah. So setting timers either on my oven to where I have to get up and turn the timer off, or on my cell phone might be really helpful for me. So yeah. So they say that it takes 4 weeks to make a new habit. So over that 4-week time period, that's my goal, to make a new habit. I'm thinking it's probably going to be like more like 6 to 8 weeks, but we'll see. But at the end of this 6 to 8 week time period, I should have a pretty amazing house and not ever have to spring clean or fall clean, but just keep up with the daily routine of cleaning. Right? Right? Yeah? Okay. Well, so this video is to tell you what's happening. It's also to tell you that I'm not perfect. But also, I'm not going to make excuses for my unclean house, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I'm not in the life stage of having a clean house. Well, I didn't realize there was a life stage of being clean. And I can say that from somebody who has an issue with cleaning. So my goal through all of this is not only to have a clean house, but not to make excuses for my laziness, is what it boils down to. Also, though, I hope that I can teach my child something, and my husband something along the way too, that you can be a great homemaker, but the people in your house have to respect your homemaking as well, and that's going to be a big challenge for them, I think. Oftentimes they're used to just coming in, throwing dirty boots on the floor, and then I have to vacuum it all up again. No, not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to enable them to be slobs, basically. Yeah. So if you have any tips for me, I know some of you are incredibly amazing homesteaders and homemakers out there. Tansy the Caver's Wife and Cherish Your Red Homestead have already suggested the Fly Lady app, which is apparently like an app. I've checked it out. I have it now, where you have checklists, and you check off your checklist. There's like a morning and an afternoon and an evening and an after dinner one. And you check your lists off, and then you like have an agenda, and then you can set a timer, like where you clean in 15-minute intervals every single day. which seems not overwhelming and very doable. So I'm going to give that a try. I kind of let you know how that works. But if you have any other suggestions, well, here's the thing. I can't do printables. Can't do printables. I don't use them that well. I'm having a hard time keeping up with my homestead management printable as it is. But I do keep up with it because it's financially necessary. But I do have a chalkboard, so I can make lists on my chalkboard. Or if there's any other apps or just scriptures that you want to share, or life stories that you want to share, or things that have helped you become a better homemaker, or maybe it's just things you need to work on yourself. Maybe this is a journey that we take together and we can kind of hold each other accountable on this journey. I would love to hear from you because I don't want to do it alone. Who wants to do anything alone? It's just not as fun. So that is it for me. You'll be seeing the series. It'll be called Homestead Homemaking. And I'll put like episode 1, episode 2, stuff like that. That way you can keep up with it. And I'll have a playlist for it as well. So this is the first video to tell you how much I suck at homesteading, homemaking. And hopefully by the end of this series, I will not suck at homestead homemaking. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you have a great day and happy homesteading or happy homemaking, whichever you prefer.